Hello and welcome to episode 5 of SITREP Marvel Talk. I'm your host Mike, and joining me as always is Mr. Roboto himself.
Right, people are going to actually start thinking that's my name. Please stop.
I should probably... welcome back, Rob.
Thank you.
I just thought at least instead of fucking it up this week, I just...
You just own it. You're just going to own it.
Might as well. I'm probably going to do it anyway. Welcome back, dude. And we also have Bradley with us.
Hello.
You're looking very clean with your brand new haircut.
Yes, me and you and Rob.
Yes,
all three of us.
It's very nice to be out in the sunshine. And as you can see, I'm a little bit cooked. But there we go. We're going to move on from that and talk about some Marvel stuff. We're going to go straight into today's episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Episode 5. Oh my god. This is really starting to set things up for the finale, and I'm pretty interested to see what happens next week. We also get a cameo in this episode. I don't know what I didn't look into the speculation for this episode. I don't know if any of you guys did with regards to who people thought that cameo was going to be, because I wouldn't have been surprised if a lot of people thought that it was going to be Steve Rogers turning up.
Well, you did, didn't you?
I think it was rumored, and then someone was like, I think someone interviewed Walker, and he said he went past like Chris Evans in real life, and they were like, oh, Captain America's got to be, Steve Rogers has got to be in Falcon Winter Soldier. Otherwise, how would they have met? It's not like these people meet outside of work or anything.
I think it would have been like the most obvious choice that people thought, wouldn't it? So
yeah, but this one I feel is a big deal, but only if you read the Marvel comics. But then, watching the episode, you're going to find out who the hell this is, and it has some pretty good ties. Anyway, let's start off with a bit of an episode breakdown. So we start episode 5 with the GRC raiding the support locations that Carly's been to. And basically, Sam and Bucky are benched at this point, aren't they? And then we find Bucky and Sam kind of out of nowhere. Torres turns up with the rest of the government, and Bucky kind of disappears to go find his new best friend, which may or may not be Zemo, but that's a different question for a different podcast. And then we're kind of left with Bucky and Sam discussing what the hell happened to Falcon's wings. I feel like I've also missed a huge point on this as well, because I started it on the wrong page, and I apologize. I did handwritten notes this week on a notepad, and it didn't go very well.
I was just about to say, you missed the fight at the beginning.
The only action scene in the episode.
Yeah, sorry. So we left off last episode with Walker holding a bloody shield in front of everybody in public, being recorded on his phone. That's better. And then we find Walker at the start of this episode basically running away, and he's basically coming to terms with what the hell he's just done. He's just beaten someone to death with Captain America's shield, aka his shield, but not for much longer. And you kind of get through this scene like flashbacks of what's kind of expected to him. I kind of thought from Lamar. So Lamar was always like, the shield's got expectations, keep your head up high, sort of thing, all the way through.
Yeah, he's kind of like, you've got this, you've been chosen to do this, you're a good guy, you do what you think's right, sort of thing. Like,
yeah, you always have the good answers, but not this time. Yeah, and then off the back of that, we basically catch up with Bucky and Sam, and they basically confront Walker, and they're like, calm down. It feels like they're trying to get through to him, because he's obviously not in the right frame of mind at all at that point. And then it's just, what is it? Bucky's there going, come on, you don't have to do it this way. Things are going to go south. And then Walker's like, I'm nothing like you, but he's I don't know if he's worse. Because at least Bucky didn't have a clue what he was doing. It was mind control, wasn't it?
Walker still thinks that what he's doing is right.
Well, I kind of feel the scene that we see a little bit later kind of backs that up to a degree. But yeah, basically, Sam asks for the shield, and Walker turns on him and is like, oh, that's what it's all about. He definitely doesn't want to give up the shield at all in this, I would say, this epic fight scene, which I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Really good.
Reminded me of like Civil War.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of similar to the fight with Stark, Steve and Bucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way the way Sam moves, obviously, as Falcon in this one, is probably the most fluid I think we've seen in this series with the wings, because Walker's pretty fast. Bucky gets disabled at one point, and then
his arm like has like electric coming out of it.
Yeah, I think he figures out like a way to disable it, because he knocks it. I rewatched the scene today, but yet still didn't quite catch what happened. Yeah, and then obviously you get a Bucky Sam team up on Walker after Bucky loses his Falcon wings. And there's also another bit in this scene as well where I did not think within the first 10 minutes of this episode, after Walker killing somebody in episode 4 with the shield, that he would then try and recreate that moment with Sam.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
As he shouts, I am Captain America. I kind of wanted him to say, I am Iron Man, just for shits and giggles, but it's really funny.
Yeah. And at this point, Bucky is pretty much just like, I'm getting the shield back. I don't give a shit. You're not having it anymore, isn't he? And then they kind of team up, and Walker's got the shield. His arm's kind of held out, and he's like, I'm not letting go of it. But then between Bucky and Sam, I realized like Bucky has his frickin', even though his wings are broken, he's got his like jetpack on. He like switches it on, and you got Bucky pushing as well. And they basically break his arm backwards in probably one of the most brutal scenes I've seen in the MCU. I don't know. That was pretty horrific.
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys
can't say I expected them to snap his arm.
No, I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. For a second, I thought I was watching Man of Steel, but there we go.
The way they like finally end the fight is cool as well. Where like Bucky has him, and he like sort of swings him, and Sam flies in with the shield. Then he basically whacks him around with the shield as he flies in,
and then they all end up on the floor like, shit.
But then Bucky chucks the shield on the floor next to Sam.
Yeah, Bucky dropping that shield off, I guess at that point really shows how much Steve meant to him, which we find out a lot more later on when they're throwing the shield around. But it just kind of shows you how much he is kind of drawn to that shield, and how he still thinks after all this time that Steve made the right decision, and that's he's kind of thrown it at his feet. And
yeah, I feel like he's like, without saying it, don't fucking give it away next time. There you go.
Well, it's like, yeah, definitely. But he's also like, just take it up already. Just do it.
It's what Steve wanted.
Yeah.
And obviously Bucky still thinks that that's the right thing to do. So
yeah. And then we've got like a horrifying image of Sam then trying to basically clean up the dried blood off the shield, which is I guess Sam also looked at it and Steve as like this symbol of doing good, and then you've got the whole shield just covered. Not the whole shield, but like
nothing but the shield.
Yeah, nothing but the shield. Now the GRC are raiding they've raided a load of locations. We've heard about that. Bucky leaves Sam with Torres to go find Zemo, because Zemo fucked off at the end of episode 4, El Chapo style. And yeah, they're kind of in a position where they've got a bench. There's no leads, so whilst they wait for Carly to kind of reappear, Sam heads off with the shield to go see Isaiah Bradley, and probably one of the most interesting conversations of this whole series so far. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, it was a really good scene. Like, both of his Isaiah Bradley scenes have been like really
Heartfelt.
Yeah, heartfelt, and like he plays that emotional sort of character really well. Like it's like, well, yeah, like Rob said, heartfelt. It's emotional. Like
it's horrifying.
It's awful. So,
but before we get to that, we got another really, really good character scene with Walker. So Walker is on trial for the mistake he made in, what was it, Sokovia? I can't remember where the hell it was before, but yeah, he's basically on trial, and they are revoking his right and his title of Captain America at this point.
He's basically stripped of all his military like merit, and he's basically being forced to live a civilian life with none of the benefits he would have had otherwise.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal because like he's not getting any pension, he's not getting any severance pay. There is nothing. Everything is ripped straight out from him.
Obviously, they tell him he's lucky not to be court-martialed. So
yeah, because I suppose in normal instances he would have been court-martialed. But the interesting thing is, it's quite funny because they're like for past achievements, which if you kind of reflect back on the last episode where we were talking about the Medal of Honor, and technically that he got those Medal of Honors for not necessarily doing the right thing, even though it was what he was told to do, if that makes sense. For them to be like, oh, you know, your record last time, we're going to give you the kind of all clear, which doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, because I think he says in this, doesn't he, that he basically did everything they asked of him and did everything the way they wanted it to and played by their rules.
Yeah.
So how can you do this to me now when I've done nothing but do what you want?
Yeah. He's basically like, I've dedicated my life to you. You've told me who you want me to be. You've trained me to be this way. And I followed the orders and all the rest of it. And then when things go south, they're just dropping him. At the end of the day, I think the only reason they're getting rid of him is because it was so public. If it had been on the sly, he would have been out. I think he would have gotten away with it. But because it was so public, I don't know what you think, Rob.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to say that his performance in that scene was amazing.
Yeah, because I don't think he was wrong. I don't think anything he said in that court scene you can argue with. And I was talking to my wife earlier, and I was like, the problem, I think the huge difference between Walker and Steve Rogers as Captain America, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, this is just my perspective, but you've got someone who's been in the military for years. He has been trained and taught to think a certain way. He's been rewarded for it and all the rest of it. Whereas if you kind of cut back to Steve wasn't really a military person. Like, or at least not to me, not the way I think of him.
Yeah, he was like a scrawny, beat-down kid.
Well, he was, but he spent ages trying to get into the military, but it wasn't the proper military. And then he went from like one thing to another. I know he did like a load of tours as once, you know, he's rescued all the POWs and all the rest of it and brought people back to kind of, it was like a montage or something. But he kind of does like basic training. Then they turn him into Captain America. But he's not doing that after almost like a life's worth of service for the military and then being turned and keeping his core values, if you know what I mean.
But I feel like World War II military man is very different to a modern military man.
Yeah. From a mental capacity. Yeah.
Well, no, just training.
Well, yeah, there is that as well. No, I was just thinking, like, obviously the mental effects are going to be completely different. But yeah, training as well. Yeah. And then he goes on before walking out of the trial. He's like, "You built me," which kind of, I feel like, goes back to that idea that the government want a soldier to be like this. Then all of a sudden don't. He's like, what? Why am I wrong? And they don't want to listen to him either when he's trying to talk about Lamar. which is the other crazy thing. Anyway.
Yeah. And they strip him of being Captain America, obviously.
Yeah.
To which he says, again, I am Captain America, which I think is a theme running through this whole episode where he keeps telling himself that he is Captain America.
I think because he's got to the point where he's spent so many episodes trying to believe that he is, or to try and live up to that mantle. So now he has the super serum. He's like, well, I am Captain America because I'm like, obviously, almost like they have the super soldier serum and all the rest of this. He's trying to be the value and all the values and all the rest of it. Anyway, moving on. Walker's outside the trial and basically gets interrupted by a lady known as, I can't remember what her name is off the top of my head. Val.
But don't call her Val.
No.
Just remember
Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Otherwise known as Robert.
Madame Hydra.
Yes. So basically looks like Hydra's coming back into the mix. Or is she working for somebody else? Now Hydra's obviously open. Not open, but
is she not like the successor to Robert Redford's character?
I guess we don't know yet, but there is a good chance that
Why
that
not?
could happen. I don't know. It depends which way they take it. Like, you could look to the comics as much as you want, and Marvel will go the complete opposite direction for the cinematic universe. It's happened so many times before. Will we see a revival of Hydra? I would not be surprised.
Or maybe just a separate terrorist group, I guess. But there's no way she's not coming back because you don't get Julia Louis-Dreyfus for a cameo, surely.
They've set her up for bigger and better things, so I'm sure we'll see her more in the future.
Whether that's another season of this or into the film.
But I don't know. Well, the other thing as well, I've seen a few people say that she could be setting up the Thunderbolts, which is the villain. It's kind of like the suicide. Am I right in thinking it's like the Suicide Squad of the Marvel universe? Because I'm pretty sure they have.
Who's in the Thunderbolts?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. The only one I can think of is Red Hulk, which is is it the Colonel?
Yeah, it's General Ross.
Yeah, General Ross, not Colonel. The Punisher and a load of other people that I can't remember off. I think Venom as well, but there's no way Venom's going to be in it. Anyway.
Oh, Zemo runs them at one point as well.
Yeah, it could have been that I saw. Yeah, could be Zemo as well. I guess we'll see. Because, he's disappeared, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, Val turns up and basically says, you did the right thing by taking the serum. Says the next best thing is to wait for her to phone Walker and don't worry about the shield, which is quite interesting because it doesn't actually belong to the government. It probably still belongs to the Starks, but a bit of a grey area, as she says. Okay, and then we kind of move on and find out that Carly's gone back to where the GRC are doing raids on her supporters, and she's seen all the repercussions and all the rest of it, and basically says the movement is ready, which is kind of the start of her path towards the end, I guess. Because I don't know what you feel about the Flag Smashers, because at this point they haven't really done a lot, have they?
They blew up a couple of buildings, haven't they?
Yeah.
They got benched this episode until the end, pretty much.
Yeah. I feel like the end kind of picks up. Sorry.
One of them pushed down a lamppost. Remember that bit?
I think they opened really strong in that first episode.
They are really strong. They are super soldiers,
literally.
So.
Yeah, literally. And then Bucky catches up with Zemo back in Sokovia. Does anybody know what the monument he was at?
I guess it's something to do with the disaster from...
Oh, the Sokovia monument.
I guess, yeah. I guess.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. That's a good point. I don't know what you guys thought. It was quite funny when Zemo's like, I will not kill you.
And then Bucky pulls a gun out.
Bucky's like, imagine my relief. Yeah. It's quite interesting because it's almost as if Bucky was like, I need to kill you, but then had no had no bullets in that. And I don't know. I don't know what he was really expecting at that point.
Don't don't know. I don't know, because I guess maybe it's just part of his own, not redemption, but like road to recovery, to like not just murder this man despite what he's done.
Yeah.
And to just, because obviously the Dora Milaje come and they taken him to the raft to basically be put there. So,
which is the same place from Civil War, isn't it? Where all the Avengers get put. Yeah. I'm sure we will see Zemo and his sweet dance moves at some point in the future. Whether we see him next episode or not, I feel like that's kind of tied off now, and we won't see the Wakandans and Zemo. That's kind of done now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. Okay, so sorry, we catch up with Sam, and he's trying to understand why Isaiah was never accepted. Why he couldn't have been the next Captain America at this point.
Yeah, so he goes to see him again, and he's taken the shield to him. Basically, he wants to understand why he never.
Why
got
he was
the
put in jail.
Yeah. What happened? Basically.
Yeah, he finds out his wife's died whilst obviously he was in jail. Even worse is the fact that she was told that he was dead the whole time, and every single letter that she wrote and sent to him was held back, which is absolutely horrifying. That he basically had communication.
He basically had his whole history and life erased, so he just basically didn't exist anymore. And then he goes on to say, I've had the quote here somewhere. He said, but they've been doing that for 500 years.
Yeah.
Basically. And then he says, like, if there will never be a black Captain America, you can't pledge an allegiance to that sort of thing. And any self-respecting black man would never want to take up the mantle anyway because of what's happened.
What's happened in the past. Which I kind of understand why you wouldn't want to pledge allegiance to something, because that's your symbol, but what is it? It kind of going back to the last episode, what has it ever done for you, sort of thing. If it's nothing but pain and suffering, then why would you want to front that?
I found it interesting that the reason why he got put into prison as well.
Yes.
Reflects pretty much what Steve Rogers does and doesn't get put in prison, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, actually.
Yeah, because Steve basically goes and saves 400 people from a Hydra camp, I think, off the top of my head. Isaiah goes and saves 30 people who are obviously his comrades that had been experimented on with him, and they throw him in jail. They experiment on him for 30 years. They like Brad said, erase his history, stop communication. It's horrifying. It's 10 times worse. Definitely not treated the same at all, and it's wrong. So I can understand his hatred of Steve Rogers and the Shield and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So Sam kind of apologizes and says, we need to tell people, and Isaiah says he would probably be dead the minute his story got out, because obviously the government want to keep it quiet. And then we catch up with Sam, who kind of after his meeting with Isaiah, kind of heads home, doesn't he, at this point, to try and figure out what the hell is going on. So we see Sam fixing the fishing nets with his nephews and finds out that his sister Sarah is not still on the boat. And whilst he needs to think things over, calls in a few favors from pretty much the entire neighborhood by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's a good scene.
Yeah,
it's a good little, it was a good scene where they all come and they all help rebuild the boat, because basically they all owe favors to their parents.
I've been a bit iffy on I've liked the human side of Sam, and obviously he's an Avenger and he's got to deal with all the bad guys, but then he's got to deal with all the shit at home. But I don't know about you guys. This whole scene, this whole part here, literally feels like it's just bonding between Bucky and Sam, because Bucky turns up after the whole conversation with Zemo to basically hand over an item to Sam because he's asked the Wakandans for a favor, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, they set about together to kind of fix the boat. And to me, it's just a really good bonding moment between these two guys, like, that hate each other at the beginning of this series.
The fixing the boat montage.
It was pretty much that. It was a good montage. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did like that Bucky was kind of flirting with Sarah.
Yeah, that was funny.
Pissing Sam off.
I love, like, Sam giving him the freaking stink eye and then saying, "Oh, you can stick around, but don't flirt with my sister," sort of thing. Yeah, and then after this, we kind of head back to Walker, who has gone to see Lamar's parents, and he's kind of explaining, obviously, what happened, how he's avenged his death, but in the process, lies to the parents because he says, this was the guy I killed, the guy I got in trouble for is the person that killed your son. And I don't know if you caught it, like, the sister in the background was giving him the stink eye. She was like,
Yeah, she definitely didn't believe him.
Yeah, she didn't believe him. But the interesting thing is Walker lying to himself in this scene, and he's like believing that all the Flag Smashers are at fault for it, or is he lying to the parents to kind of give closure?
Or he's deluded and generally thinks that.
Yeah.
I think it could be a bit of both. I think it could be like Rob said that, but I think he's also given them closure. But at that moment, he, in his head, is probably thinking, I'm going to have to go kill this woman that has done this.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's it's setting it up, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's setting him up to basically take arms and go after Carly again. Anyway. Very, very quick scene we get with Sharon out of nowhere. Literally 2 minutes. She's on the phone to someone. Is it Bartrock? We don't know. But she's asking, she's basically saying, I'll pay double for you to, by the sounds of it, assassinate someone potentially. Or
yeah.
Get
it sounded like the French dude that Carly was talking to later on.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was swearing and that and all the rest of it, wasn't he? Yeah. Come on, she's the power broker, right?
I'd be surprised if she's not now.
If anybody gets sideswiped by this, I'm going to be absolutely amazed. Because I feel like it's been there since she's turned up. Anyway. Okay, so we catch up with... I don't remember what the hell happened, no?
We get the Captain America training montage.
Yes.
With Sam.
Well, Sam and Bucky have a heartfelt conversation first, and then he goes and then... Captain America, fuck yeah!
Bucky, they're throwing the shield against the tree, aren't they? Like bouncing it back and catching it and just like chatting. And Bucky essentially forgives Sam for giving up the shield. So like basically, I understand why you did it. Like, I'm sorry for being a dick, basically.
Yeah, because it's not... He didn't understand the consequences of a black man taking up the shield. It had a lot more thought to it than just, I'm going to be the next Captain America now. The other thing is the way they kind of flip it, and Sam basically starts trauma counseling Bucky.
Yeah.
Which is...
He basically tells him to stop looking to others to tell you who you are and just do it yourself, sort of thing. Yeah. Go and see one of the people off your list and try and make it up to them instead of looking at the list of a whole. Just take it one step at a time, sort of thing.
Also, stop avenging. So let's be honest. I'm pretty sure he's going to go back to the dude in the beginning of the series, the guy's dad, who he obviously killed his son. I think he's
Larry. Wasn't his name Larry?
Yuri.
No, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Yuri. I think you're right. I can't remember because it was a few episodes back. But I think he's going to go back and he's going to be honest. we'll see, I guess, next week.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like Rob said, cut to 2 things that make Captain America great: running and throwing shields. It is the best.
I did think that Sam looks buffer in this episode than previous episodes. I don't know, it was just me. Looked like he'd been
Maybe he dehydrated himself.
in the gym.
It's a good training montage, though. Doing his running press ups.
There were a couple of bits where you can tell it's not him.
I was going to say, it's definitely not him doing that flip, is it?
No.
Not at all.
His legs get a lot skinnier.
And he seems to be taller for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Just before they kind of leave that scene as well, the banter between Bucky and Sam at that point, obviously you've had the whole boat thing. They've had the counseling talk. They're best friends now? / teammates? Maybe not teammates. Maybe just 2 guys that walk down the same road together.
Yeah. Professionals.
Yeah. Professionals
that have similar associates.
That drink Heineken, because I'm pretty sure it was Heineken.
It was.
Yeah.
And we did get that sweet scene of Bucky for no reason slow motion at one point on the boat.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
what that was about. And then I think that's it. Doesn't oh, sorry, we get Carly. I think we get a scene with Carly, don't we? So she's basically starting to set up her plan for the final episode, where she's triggering what I'm trying to think.
They go to a GRC meeting where they're voting to send the refugees back to their home countries, basically.
Yeah, she wants to stop the meeting, but she's stopping it by basically getting her supporters to now become her army, isn't it? So she kind of sends like a message out, and bring, people start getting messages on their phone, and it's like Hydra. You're activating these people, and there's another Hydra. Yeah, sleeper cells. But there's also another Hydra style moment. And I don't know if either of you guys caught it or not, but obviously they're trying to stop the GRC meeting. So then it cuts to the GRC meeting. They're arguing, where they're going to send the refugees and all the rest of it. And then this dude turns up that you see in the park, like, because they cut to him on purpose, so that you see him in the next shot in the GRC meeting. And the 2 dudes go up to each other and they're like, one world, one people.
Oh,
which is very much
Yeah.
Hail Hydra. And I was like, oh, damn. That's pretty cool. Rob, you're right. You're looking confused.
Yeah, I just vaguely don't remember this scene at all.
I think it was just one of those things. If you could have blinked.
They were trying to stop a vote, weren't they? And they were trying to, and they were like, there's no point in voting in the meeting or something. I remember that bit.
Yeah, and then it looks like they lose communication and everything goes to kind of like
everything goes red, yeah. And then,
and then Torres obviously lets Sam know because he's been chasing up Carly and all the rest of it. And it's at this point that Sam
opens the briefcase.
Wow. He goes, "What's in the box?"
It's a loot crate. It's a new skin.
You see like a flash of red. So what do we all think's in the box?
It's gotta be a new suit, dude.
Yes, but is it a Falcon suit, or is it the Falcon / Captain America suit?
America one. I hope it's that.
It's gotta be. I reckon it's Falcon Captain America suit. Made with vibranium?
Yeah, because
it'll be vibranium, yeah.
And he's gonna beat the shit out of Walker next episode.
I hope so.
I just hope Sam. Well, obviously, I would assume Sam's going to make it through.
He's going to have loads of cool Wakandan gadgets, like phaser beams and stuff.
The only thing I'd be worried about anything Wakandan is like they're going to like just have a failsafe in there now.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't trust them. What if they went bad?
Sam wasn't a Hydra dude. No, yeah, true. No.
They could just be like, nah, he's flying. Oh, shit.
Just press a button, his wings fall off.
Yeah, there is that. And then finally, Rob, I know you watched this post-credit scene. What happens in the post-credit scene?
John Walker apparently is an amateur metal worker and is making a new shield out of old bits of metal.
In his garage. He's got a dustbin. He's got the paint cans.
You might want to make a few because that's going to break quite quickly.
He's also putting his old medals and stuff on it, isn't he?
Yeah. As soon as he chucks it into a wall, it's just going to shatter.
So I think also spoilers. Obviously, this whole episode is spoilers, but for those that you don't know, this seems like he is finally going to be the villain that we all know as US agent, I believe, in the comics. Yeah. And whether he will have his full scrap costume by next episode, I guess we'll find out. But if it looks as good as his Captain America costume, I'm going to be very, very shocked. Because there's no way you could make that out of scraps in your basement or wherever.
Do you think his storyline will end in the last episode, or do you think he'll sort of get a beat in and then he'll get a call from Val, and then that'll be for later on, and the Flag Smashers will be the main thing in the last episode?
If Marvel do one good thing, it's killing off villains that are good.
True.
So he's gonna die.
So he's dead.
So he's probably gonna die or go to prison.
And we'll have Carly in one of the films. Oh no.
Do you think Carly's gonna die next episode? Or do you think Sam's gonna kind of
arrest her?
Like,
do the right thing because he's a good man.
I think they're going to have that conversation, aren't they? Because Zemo in this episode is basically like, Carly's gone too far. You need to take her down before she does.
I'll tell you what he's not going to do is smash her head off with the shield.
I guess we'll find out next episode. Are we expecting more blood on the shield next episode?
Maybe Walker's iron shield. Or aluminium, whatever the fuck he's got.
His dustbin lid.
Tony Stark in his basement. Bloody hell.
It'll be like Rob's shield he made for your stag day.
That was a good shield.
Made of cardboard.
Until he Captain America'd it and lost it.
Someone stole it, I reckon.
Son of a bitch. But yeah, overall, like me personally, I think this is honestly, it's not really a filler app. I know there's not as much action. I know you got like the first 10 minutes from the rest of it, but it's a good character app, and it's kind of like you're leading up to the last episode. You're closing things. You're kind of ending story threads. You're finalizing story threads. Like the fight with the Flag Smashers is about to go down next week. You've got Bucky's sorted his bloody family troubles now. Wakandans and Zemo have buggered off now, so we ain't going to see anything from them. No. How much we see of Sharon next week is going to be interesting. Or is she going to be like a future bad person in another film? I guess we'll find out.
I can't imagine they're going to wrap up all of it. Like something's got to carry over, surely.
Might be an extra long episode.
An hour and a half.
Feature-length episode.
This episode was 60 minutes, obviously including credits, but it was almost an hour. I watched it today.
Yeah. It was the like mid part of it with Sam, and that was quite a big portion of it. Yeah, not that was a bad thing. It was good, but
no, it's. I mean, I think Rob said like not a lot really happens. Not a lot really happens in this episode, but there's a lot of things in those kind of small moments. Like
I think it makes sense because 3 and 4 were quite action heavy to then have a bit of action and then a more character driven before the finale sort of episode.
I think it needs to though. Like you need but it's kind of like that with any film. You watch a film that is action oriented. You know, you want all your action at the beginning to kind of throw you into the film. Have like your what do they call? You know, have all your story like where they're going. All the rest
they
of
definitely like filmed it as a film and just split it into 6 episodes, didn't they? Essentially,
yeah. I think you could make this into a film, but the problem is you wouldn't have had obviously all the key character moments, but all the stuff with Isaiah Bradley would just be completely thrown out, and the conversations with Carly, you would just have the fight scenes, there would be no
Detail.
No, there's no detail. I think that's the difference between this show and having a Marvel film of this, which I think is a huge difference. And I've enjoyed it so far. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode. 1 episode left, and that is it for this series. Anyway, that is before I go. Anyway, you guys' thoughts. I gave my thoughts on this episode. Sorry.
I actually think this is the strongest episode so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any reasons at all? Or?
I just really liked it. Really enjoyed it.
Nice. Brad?
Yeah, it's certainly up there as one of the best episodes of the series so far. Like you said, it's not action heavy, but all the characters are so good in this that it doesn't matter.
I'm just a sucker for a montage, I guess.
If we don't see Sam and Bucky out at sea at the end of the next episode.
Oh, they've got him, haven't they? That's how they're going to end it. Them sailing away into sunset with a bottle of Heineken.
Because otherwise, fixing that boat was completely pointless. But yeah, anyway, that's it from us this week. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Obviously, these are our thoughts on this week's episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let us know what you think. Obviously, this episode, let us know either on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can find us at SITREP Happy Hour in all those places, and make sure to check out the Mash Those Buttons website at mashthosebuttons.com and all the other podcasts on that site. Sorry, I'm really tired. Anyway, we'll leave you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.